Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 39 of the Whitey and Wills Sports Show. It is Monday, July 11th, 2022. We're back. We've had a little bit of a hiatus between shows, but we've got a good excuse to get recording again. We have got our first active Major League Baseball player on the show. We've had a couple of guys who have thrown in the majors, but never a guy who is on a roster right now, albeit on a disabled list right now, unfortunately. Right. List, I take that back. But joining us from Tampa, Florida, where he is recovering from Tommy John surgery, Chad Green, 2010 Effingham High School graduate and a longtime member of the New York Yankees bullpen. Chad, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Glad I could help you guys out. And hopefully we have a good conversation.
I wish
we always have good conversation. That's never the problem. I just staying on subject.
That's right.
I wish you didn't have time to talk to us. You know what I'm saying? I wish you were busy with your season, but that all came crashing down this year. Like I said, Tommy John, pretty much beginning of June. Was that about when you had your surgery?
I had surgery June 1st. I got hurt in the middle of May. I waited about 2 weeks to have surgery. We're just June 1st. We're about 6 weeks out right now. So things are progressing fairly well, but I guess as good as I can be. But so it's been a process so far.
And you'll notice over my shoulder, by the way, anytime we've got a ball player on here, my production assistant worms her way into the show. She wants to.
love that.
She wants to get in on this conversation.
Dad, she's a Braves fan, so
that's all right. They're playing pretty good right now, so
they're doing all right. Big series. Big series.
Going
on right now.
We almost had a doubleheader because the night we were supposed to record Danny Winkler, he got called up on the taxi squad with the Rangers in New York.
Yeah.
So he literally texted me between games of that doubleheader while he was chowing down on the food line. And I said, well, why don't you just go find Chad and we'll just do you both at the same time.
I didn't realize he was in New York at that time. I didn't realize he was on the taxi squad. I think I might have heard it on when he came on your podcast. I heard the food's pretty good on the visiting side in New York. So I'm sure he had a pretty good time.
Yeah, he said he spent all the time eating.
Yeah, I heard they got a great setup over there. I haven't been over there, but I guess it's one of the best visiting clubhouse food wise. So.
Well, the home food line's got to be okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely not bad. I mean, there's food out 24/7. You got 2 personal chefs back there, pretty much like whatever you want. It's definitely easy to put on a few pounds. You got to kind of watch it at times.
Now I can't imagine you don't probably get. I'm guessing you don't get too crazy with what you ask for, though. That's just a hunch. I'm guessing you keep it pretty simple.
No, I normally stick with like what they have like put out. They put out food like every day, like just on the line. So I'm normally nothing like personal or anything like that. You're exactly right. I just I keep it pretty basic.
So you got to have a teammate or two who are like divas and require special attention at the food.
Oh yeah, you got I think you just got your big dogs. I think like Garrett. There's guys that are very specific on what they want, and I guess as they should be. So you got guys who are pretty specific in what they eat, but it's all good.
So a little background. I gotta figure the people who are watching this show probably already know this stuff, but just you've been in the bigs basically since 2016. You made your debut. You were in Arizona when you made your debut. Is that correct? Yeah. Right. And at this point, closing in on 400 major league innings. And really, I was doing some calculations because outside of like 10 games at the beginning of the 2019 season, you have just been about as solid as they come out of a bullpen. I did some figuring. If you just take out 7.2 innings at the beginning of that season, your ERA is under 3 for your career. It's just kind of one of those stretches.
That's how bad that start of 2019 was. So that's like, I couldn't have pitched any worse at that time. So that makes sense.
That's the last time. That's the last time you got sent down, though, right? That's the last time you had to go to AAA.
Well deserved too, because like I was to the point. I mean, I'll never forget it. I was in LA. I'd just given up. We were up like 7-1, just giving up a grand slam or something, like awful, like the lowest of lows. And I was like, man, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I cannot run back out on that mound tomorrow or the next day or something like that. So that was a well-deserved demotion. So
was it just location, velocity, the 4 inches between your ears? What happened?
Probably a little bit of everything. It was just like, you're like throwing anything at it and hopefully something sticks, and nothing was going the right way. And when you're at that level, it can speed up really fast. And like, once you get going downhill, it's tough to stop. So there was, but also like a good like learning curve in my career. I think I learned like I needed to make some changes, and luckily I only went down for 2 weeks and came back up and made those adjustments in AAA and came back up and pitched pretty well. So,
and yeah, I mean, 494 career strikeouts. I mentioned almost 400 innings, 383. So, that's the first thing everybody always looks at. You've struck out way more than one an inning. I mean, pretty honestly, I won't say dominant, but I'll say pretty overpowering at times. Is that how you figured? Is that how you figured if you made it to the pros that you were going to do it, that you were going to be blowing people away? Or did you think you were going to have to be a location guy, trying to hit the spots and just trying to, miss the fat part of the bat?
I don't know. I think a little bit of both. I honestly didn't think coming from like Effingham, like I was just glad to make it for one day. You know what I mean? Like I was like never supposed to make it. So like it wasn't a first round pick. I wasn't like All-American in college. So like honestly, I was just like pumped to get one day. And then like to be sitting here 6 years later is like pretty crazy. Like but like coming up through, like I thought I would have to be like, they even told me at times like, hey, you're going to be a ground ball pitcher. You're going to be there. We've had these guys succeed at Yankee Stadium being ground ball pitchers, and then like lo and behold, I'm high spin 4-seam up in the zone to get 0 ground balls. So like I thought I was gonna have to be the location guy, the guy that has to like kind of grind out and like grind at bats and really make pitches and stuff. And I kind of had the velo uptick, and that helped me out. And I kind of we have a great staff in New York to like help us succeed in whatever we're good at. So once I was able to figure out kind of who I was, it made it a lot easier.
And I mean, you were thrown in fairly early, Chad, in some pretty high leverage situations. You've always kind of been that 7th, 8th inning, or the guy, it's a bad situation in the 5th or 6th. You're kind of the Swiss Army knife. Hey, put the fire out whenever it occurs. Have you ever said, man, I'd like to be the closer?
I think everybody that plays or pitches in the bullpen would like to be the closer at some point. But with Aroldis Chapman sitting there in the 9th inning, I think you realize real quick that you're not going to pitch the 9th inning. So I was happy with coming in the 5th or the 6th or just filling a role when a guy wasn't available. And that's kind of what I prided myself on. So it wasn't anything like I had an ego and thought I should be pitching in these situations. I was just honestly happy to be there and happy to continue be a part of whatever was going on and just contribute in whichever way I can. And so like, no, like obviously we want to be a closer, but being in that specific bullpen, I knew it probably wasn't an option.
So with the rehab you're doing on your injury after post-surgery, I mean, things going according to plan for you right now, where they say you should be?
Yeah. So my first, I don't know people probably aren't too familiar with the Tommy John rehab process, but mine was a little slower, or is a little slower at the beginning because I had a flexor tear. And this was something that I had probably since college. I would say that's when I first did it. And then I think the week that I actually got hurt was when or maybe the week prior to that, where it's like I kind of started feeling it more and more, and it slowly just started tearing off the bone. So my initial process is a little slower, but surgery went well. Surgery went as good as it can go. Now it's just kind of a waiting game for the first 6 to 8 weeks and let this tendon heal and kind of go from there. So then I can actually start the legit rehab process, because right now it's just kind of, there's really not much I can do right now besides just let it heal.
It's got to be tough for you to have it happen this year. I mean, I think guys enter into a professional career pitching, an arm injury is probably going to happen at some point, right? Like, it's just sort of how it goes. But you're a free agent next year, and so for an injury of this magnitude to happen, when you like to spend your off season figuring out, what your next deal is going to be, who it's going to be with, whatever, it puts a lot more question marks in the air. I mean, it's I don't know. Does that stress you out, or do you feel like there'll be a way that it works out somehow?
I think for me, it was just kind of like the way it works out. I mean, even if I would have finished the year somewhat healthy and went into the off season as a free agent, I'm not sure if I would have even passed the physical, because most of the time a new team's going to get an MRI or do whatever scans they need to. So it could have been like a blessing in disguise where I got it early enough in the year where I still have an opportunity to pitch next year. So that's kind of what I'm leaning on, I guess, going into next year. It's just kind of happened. And I think I was lucky enough not to have something happen yet. I mean, this is my first surgery. This is my first actual injury. I think I've made some good mechanical adjustments, taking care of my body and stuff to be able to even make it this long. So I was honestly, obviously very disappointed when I found out like what happened and the whole situation of being a free agent. Like, was I upset? No doubt. Like, but I was only upset for a day or so. Like,
you'll see guys come back after Tommy John and get an uptick in their velocity too.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially nowadays with all the slow motion cameras and all the staffs are put towards a rehab process, I think, and all the arm care you do, all the working out you do, I'm hoping that this is like a nice halfway point in my career. That would be ideal, and hopefully I play another 4 or 5 years, and we'll just kind of go from there. So. Obviously not great timing, but kind of is what it is.
So I guess, Chad, a question, as you're going through your rehab, and I know when we were talking beforehand, free agency opens up like 2 days after the World Series. So after the World Series is over, do the Yankees just, hey, our trainers and our facility in Tampa, sorry, it's like a lockout. You can't,
honestly, I've never been through it, so I think that's kind of how it works. I think you try to get something set up beforehand. So like, you try to set something up and so you have a place to go. But I'm kind of hoping that I sign with somebody really quick, so I can kind of get with whatever team that I'm going to be with. And I think it's kind of, they just say, all right, we'll be talking to you.
You'll be calling Chase to come down and catch bullpens for you.
No, I know. I'm gonna have to find a throwing partner. Gonna have to, we'll have to see. We'll have to maybe let him get the gear back on and see what happens. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's an uncertainty for sure, but I guess the thing that you got in your back pocket is that, again, years and years of being a pretty reliable bullpen guy. I mean, as we see every trade deadline and every offseason, teams are always looking. They're always looking for that guy. And so you got to know that there's an opportunity there for you,
Yeah, and that's what I mean, I was glad I was able to play this long and get a track record. So, I mean, in case something like this does happen, that I have something to like fall back on. And it's like, man, like maybe I haven't been healthy for 5 years or 3 years. Like you just don't know. Like maybe I was just pitching through it, and that's just what it was until it got to a point where I couldn't throw anymore. So, yeah, I mean, you just don't know. But yeah, hopefully, hopefully my resume kind of speaks for itself and sign with somebody and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, you're a known commodity, so you got that going for you. And I can remember when the Cardinals signed Chris Carpenter. He was going to be out coming off of surgery for I think it was going to be August before he could even start. And I'm thinking, what? Why would you do that? Well, that paid off pretty well, So and again, you being a known commodity, people say, okay, he's here. I mean, and I know a team down on the Mississippi River that could always use bullpen help. Trust me.
That's right. Yeah, I'll go with. I'd love that. So, that'd be pretty cool. But we'll see what happens.
You kind of alluded earlier to where you were drafted. You ended up what was it, 11th? Was that when
11th round? Yeah.
So the Tigers took you, but you got traded into the Yankees system pretty quick after that.
Yeah.
That's got to be, I don't know, what's the feeling when you're a young guy, you're just starting in professional baseball, and you find out that not only have you been traded, but you've been traded to that organization. I mean, one that's kind of ubiquitous, a little extra pressure, I would imagine, but also a lot of exciting things about the prospects of getting a chance to pitch for that team and in that division.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I was so young, I don't think you really know what's happening. I think I was like, oh, I just got traded. Like, I mean, I was in AA, like I just finished in AA. I mean, I think I didn't really know any better. So I was just, obviously excited. I guess I didn't really put two and two together, like that I was actually going to pitch for the Yankees. I was like, oh, I'm going to go to AA or AAA. Like that's just how it works. I'm not actually going to play for the Yankees or whatever. But it was weird walking into the clubhouse in spring training and seeing A-Rod, Teixeira, McCann, and Beltran, and all these like big name guys, CC Sabathia, and I'm like, are you sure I'm in the right spot? So I mean, it's been great. I mean, they have great people over there. It's like it feels like home now, and I mean, obviously it all worked out for the best, and we love it. So
one of the narratives that you always hear when a guy does end up in New York, though, is that like it can be a tougher place to play. Has it ever felt that way to you at all, or has it been pretty smooth sailing as far as the added pressures of New York City go?
I wouldn't say it's like smooth sailing. It's definitely an adjustment. But at the same time, like I don't know what any other big league place is like. I don't know. Like I'm just used to 30 people being in the clubhouse every day. Like that's the only thing I've ever known. So it's like when you have a playoff game, there's 50 of them. 50, 60 reporters surrounded by your locker. So it's just, when you talk to other guys, it's definitely a different place. It's a different dynamic. It's just, there are no games where you just give away. There's you show up to the ballpark and you're like, no, we're expected to win today, and that's what we're going to do. So there's extra pressure, and that does get to some people, but I think if you come up with Yankees, you just don't know any better. So some places only have 5 people. We just have 30 people pretty much every day, just wanting to get to know you and talk to you. And you're playing in front of a packed stadium pretty much every night. There's Yankees fans everywhere. So it's not like you're playing in front of 10,000 people. It's 30,000 people every night. And but I mean, if you're playing well, it's the best place to be. And when you're struggling, it's tough. So
Yankees fans are so forgiving. I mean, just like anybody else, and it may have been, the media is one thing, but with the social media, because it may have been 2019. Somehow I remember John Heyman or somebody, there was a text where you'd had a bad outing.
Yeah.
And it came up, and I started going down the thread reading.
Ooh,
I was like,
that's a slippery slope. If you start doing,
I was like, holy crap. I said, Dad, you're talking about thick skin. Obviously, you can't go down there and do that, but social media's got to be, you know, Brian Schaus, they had Dead Sea Scrolls and they put, you know, stuff on, you know, rocks. Yeah. No, you've got Twitter and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, hey, my fantasy team, come on, Green, you're killing my fantasy team.
Yeah, you get it all. And it's, I mean, it's one of those things where like as many good articles are out there about you, there's that many bad ones too. So it's like you said, if you like go down that rabbit hole, there's always going to be somebody that hates you or doesn't like you or because you blow a game and forget the human element of it. And we aren't robots and we have bad outings and we have stuff going on in our personal lives and whatever. I mean, if you're pitching through something or struggling at the plate or I mean, the list goes on and on. So, but if you choose to look at it, you just better be ready to, I mean, you better have some thick skin because it can, I've seen it, guys not handle it well and it really gets to them. And the ones that obviously do the best are the ones that don't pay attention to it and kind of just show up every day and just kind of leave that to the fans, which I mean, but that's what makes our fan base so good is they're so passionate and they show up and but like I said, if you're doing well, it's great. If you're not doing well, that's when it can that's when it happened in 19. It can spiral out of control real fast and it's tough to stop sometimes.
So you have that hiccup, you know, in the 8th inning and you don't do your job and you're pissed and Joe Reporter takes a cheap shot at you and now he's back in the clubhouse the next day. Do you look at that person differently?
Oh yeah. Like like you kind of know who those people are that most of the time it's probably who they work for. They want the juicy story. They don't want the feel good story. They want the one that's going to make the headline. And some people choose to give it to them and some don't. So I think we do a pretty good job of like our media training and teaching guys to kind of maybe deflect certain things. And it's kind of, you just kind of roll with it. But then there are certain guys that are women or men or women and that you just kind of shrug off and kind of move on.
Yeah, I would think that would be probably the toughest part because that's
that's,
you know, back in the day, Dustin
like,
would appreciate this. It's Sam Rickelman where he can do whatever he wanted. You know, Sam always made you look good as a coach or a player when he put stuff in the Daily News. But I you know, knowing Sam as well as I did, he always didn't have those same feelings about people.
And I'd like to point out that I always wrote good things about Chad. Okay.
Hey, perfect. Yeah. That was back in just the printed newspaper. That was it. You know? Yeah.
That's my claim to fame, Chad, is that my name is actually on your Wikipedia page. It's in the citations down there. The story about you going to Louisville. And it's it's a definite puff piece.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what you do, right?
Look at that.
I gotta make Chad think here. I guarantee you he doesn't remember this, but I'm going to ask him anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Because I feel like, you know, I've played a part in your development.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see if I remember.
Yeah, I know we're going back. I think you guys were first. It was your first year of Corey League. This was before any travel ball.
Yeah.
And I was coaching, and I would handpick 12 kids, and we'd go play in a baseball tournament.
Yeah.
And we went to Pana, and I know you and Chase were on the team, and Philip Weatherall, another kid who was in that made the thing. I don't remember if Winkler was. Anthony Heck. I mean, pretty good squad.
No, that's good players. Yeah.
It must have been the coaching because we got second place.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what happened.
Fault. We'll say that wasn't the players' fault. Yeah.
I figured that was probably the beginning of you, changing the outlook. You decided I don't want to be a cricket player anymore. I'm going to be a baseball.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not sure if I remember that. I don't know if I remember going to. I don't know if I remember going to Pana that often. So
That's the absolute correct answer here. You got to tell them that I don't recall one moment of that at all.
yeah,
That's what you got to say.
There's certain, I just remember it because there were so many good players on the team.
that's some good players.
And I coached us into second place. So I thought that was pretty good.
Right? Pretty good.
There really were some of those post 120 teams, some of the Legion teams those were pretty stacked when you look back at what some of those guys have been able to do with themselves. You know, you're at the top of the list, but there's a lot of guys that went and played in college or even got drafted and stuff like that. So it's really Effingham for no bigger than it is, and where baseball players typically come from. Effingham is has done a pretty good job representing.
Yeah, no, it's crazy seeing guys that like just you played against growing up and like that are playing either big time college baseball or maybe get drafted and stuff. It's it's pretty cool. I mean, especially I think, and there's some guys recently that are going to big time universities and some big time Power 5 schools, and it's pretty cool.
You went and you of course went to one of those schools. You went to Louisville. Pretty important in your development, as it turns out, would you say?
Like I think like that was probably, I mean, it's like the first time you're on your own, the first time you're kind of just learning how to do stuff on your own. So I mean, the staff there, amazing. Love the pitching coach, love the head coach. Definitely a big reason why a lot of Louisville guys have success and why they've been so good. So I mean, the staff there is amazing.
How much harder did you throw? Because that's the thing that happens a lot, I think, is that guys get out of high school, they get into a college program, or even, they go straight to the minors, they start figuring their body out a little bit, start figuring their mechanics out. With, people who are, that's just what they live and breathe. Like it's no knock against your high school coach or anything like that. It's just that these people are professionals. How much harder did you throw by the time you got done at Louisville compared to when you went there?
I mean, in high school, I probably topped it. I maybe hit a 91 in high school, maybe a 92, something like that on a really good day. By the time I left college, I was probably 90, 94. I didn't think I ever hit 95 in college. So I wasn't like, that's why I was like the big pinpoint command, like terrible breaking ball, pretty much just a fastball, like, or not terrible breaking ball, but super inconsistent. So I was just grinding with the fastball in and out, up and down. And then I didn't really see the velo spike till kind of I got the pro ball, and I literally my first off season worked out twice a day, every day to get stronger. And not that I got a lot stronger in college, but to take it to another level. And that's when I kind of saw, like, I think that year I hit 97 or 98 or something, my first full season in pro ball. So that's kind of when I saw the big velo jump.
Does it worry you any? How much do you pay attention to all the talk about the baseball year in and year out? That's been a big talking point for the last 2 or 3 years. Where they're going to do something that's going to mess with grip. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we tested it. A couple of us last year tested out some new substance or a new rub that we're gonna try to put on. I'm not sure if that's actually if they're moving forward with that, but it's definitely a problem with them. Like, I guess banning sticky substances. It's not that like everybody was globbing their hand up. Like, that's not the thing. But and they did make a good change with the new rosin bag this year. That helps a ton. It is like a stickier rosin bag, so the ball rub doesn't matter as much, I think. But like when it's 45 degrees and windy in New York or Boston or something, like it's impossible to grip the baseball. So it's definitely, something they definitely got to look into. So,
Look, Chad, I was kind of surprised when we talked with Brian Schaus a couple months ago when he would come in key situations. Of course, he was a little different situation, very similar, but he was primarily coming in that day to get one guy. Okay. But he said he really didn't want to know who he was facing until he got on the mound, because he even talked about when he faced Griffey sitting on 499 homers.
Yeah.
He didn't know until he looked at the message board right before,
right.
after his warm-up, that it was Griffey going for his 500th homer.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're coming in and you're like, okay, I know I've got X. That's who that's my first guy I got to get.
Yeah, I would say nowadays with like scouting reports being so in depth, for me personally, like you kind of take it, like you look at their strengths and weaknesses as a hitter, but like I'm like doing a quick, like, especially like right before I go in, I'll do more in-depth stuff like pre-game, like in the clubhouse, but like, no, like when I'm on the mound and it's like, hey, JD Martinez is coming up or something, like it's more like very quick scouting report from the bullpen coach and like kind of your mental notes and hey, you're kind of just pitching to your strengths and kind of taking what the situation and like what it's telling you. But like I definitely want to know who I'm facing, I should say. Like I want to know like, hey, if there's two outs, tell me one guy, because that's in my head, that's all I'm facing. So but yeah, I think guys now definitely want to know who they're facing. So
who's the one guy when you come in, you're like, I own this guy?
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm not sure. I wouldn't necessarily say like
well, and I don't mean I own him, but here's a guy who's really, really good, and I've had a lot of success against. How about that? We'll water it down a little bit.
Yeah, there we go. Because I wouldn't say like I necessarily dominate. Like nothing, no guy actually like comes to the top of my head. But I've had fairly good success against like Mookie Betts. Like surprisingly, like he's hit some balls hard against me, but like not a ton of base hits. Before that's obviously before he went to LA and we don't face him anymore. But he was one that like, yeah, obviously really good hitter. That was during his MVP seasons, and I actually did better against him than I would probably give myself credit for. So
now on the flip side, how about the guy you come in and said, this guy, he may break a bat and hit a double over the first baseman's head.
I mean,
the guy who just always gets there.
But here's the thing, like there's a couple of guys that have like gotten me because like I try to like, I mean, I'm just going to tag guys. I'm really not going to like try to pitch around guys. So like I'll get clipped a lot just because I'm going to try to attack guys and not pitch around guys. But yeah, I think Trey Mancini always has good at bats against me. Like I played against him in college when he was at Notre Dame. And for whatever reason, I could throw that guy any pitch and he's hitting a double off the wall. I'm not sure if he's taking me deep yet, but like he's probably got 4 or 5 doubles against me. So yeah, Lindor's got me a couple times, like in big spots, but I've also gotten him a couple times. So there's guys that I've struck out a few times, but there's also I've given up 3 homers to him. So I wouldn't say there's like one guy who's probably like 5 for 5 against me or something like that. So.
Right. Well, and it was kind of funny because Brian said he had great success against Griffey. Moved from that point forward because he said he says I don't know why, but I had his number.
Yeah, that's
other guys.
I could see guys arm slot. Yeah, that arm slot's pretty tough for a lefty. It could be whoever up there. Like that's a tough slot.
Do they I mean, facing a lefty in Yankee Stadium is probably just it gets in your head a little bit anyway, just because of the reputation that the stadium has too. I would think. I don't know how often you have.
Well, I honestly think lefties are kind of like, it's like you would think it's like a lefty ballpark, but you honestly get beat more by like righties mishitting balls to right field that you think are outs that are homers. Like if a lefty pulls a ball, more times than not, they like get it. Like they like hit it 420 way back. Mm-hmm. So that's a homer anywhere. It's the one where you like beat a righty on a fastball up and away, and he clips it 315 down the line. So that's the one that stings a little bit. That's the one that can kind of keep you up at night. But yeah, I'd say it's like a lot of people say that like it is like lefties do well there, but man, like Judge can just mishit a ball to the field and they can go.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch Judge and Stanton hit those like laser beams the other way. That like, I mean, Yeah, they hit him hard, but to see
Yeah.
him clear the fence and never get more than about, it seems like 30
Yeah.
feet off the ground.
It's pretty crazy. I just saw like Jordan Alvarez just hit one there like a couple of weeks ago. There was like a line, like it got like 10 feet off the ground, which is crazy. Like, I mean, that guy's got stupid power, but crazy.
Is he almost as big as Judge Alvarez?
I mean, he's pretty tall. I'm not
Pretty
sure.
big boy.
Yeah. Oh no, he's like when he gets in the box, you're like, that's a big guy. Like,
He's got a big strike zone.
yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. No, he's like, yeah, when he gets in the box, it's like, yeah,
You have made 18 postseason appearances. The first one in 17 wild card game, pitched a couple of innings. When you get, I don't know, when you get in there that first time, you feeling any different about the outing? Is there anything different going through your mind? Or are you just trying to treat it like another game as much as possible? Or can you even make yourself do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think after the first one, it was better, but that first one was such like it was like a weird situation. Starter gets knocked out in the first. We're already down 3-0. Like, I didn't even think I was going to be the first guy in that game. So, like, I wasn't really like, I was just kind of sitting outside, taking in the atmosphere. My first postseason game, I'm like, this is sick. You know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden, the phone rings and it's like, hey, Green, get going. I'm like wide-eyed, like.
He didn't even have time to get nervous.
No, yeah, like literally no time to get nervous. I think that helped me, but ended up pitching well that game, and like it was kind of like out of body experience. Like my first one, I was just like I threw like 30 something pitches, but I couldn't remember half of them.
So wasn't there discussion of using you as the opener in the next round?
Well, we didn't start using the openers till 2019. So my first one was 2017. That was we didn't start using openers till 19, and I opened quite a bit that year. So I actually did open game 6 on the road in Houston. I was the opener in that game. It was like we ended up losing. I gave up a 3-run homer, but that's besides the point.
We were actually at Chris Custer's watching the game, and we kept hearing trash cans in the background.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know what that meant
right.
at the time.
It was still, I still remember that. It was still a good pitch, and the guy he clipped me into the Crawford box real short. So it's all right. But.
So let's say you sign with somebody, and next year, whatever point in the season you come back, and your first appearance is in Yankee Stadium, and Aaron Judge walks into the box. Are you just going to wink at him and say, "Hey, big boy, now we're going to find out"?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, you give them a little. I think you give them a little head nod and be like, "All right, let's go." You know what I mean? Like so, and I think it kind of helped. Like you face those guys in spring training and live BP and stuff, so you kind of get an idea of like their presence in the box. Like, yeah, if I've never faced them in a game at Yankee Stadium, which is completely different. And when those guys are in the box at Yankee Stadium, it's a tough place to pitch. It's a tough place. Like I sit and just watch it from the bullpen. Like it's a tough place to get 27 outs, and because those guys are big guys, and they can definitely like scare you out of the strike zone. As soon as that happens, that's a wrap. So
that's an interesting hypothetical, Mike, because that's first of all, that's assuming that Chad's somewhere else, but then that's assuming that Judge re-signs with the Yankees too.
Yeah,
no offense, but I don't know that your free agency is going to get the same amount of attention.
Probably not. So yeah, that one's going to be talked about till he puts pen to paper. So
I would, I'd reach out to him and just hey, let's be a package deal, Aaron.
Yeah,
let's
right?
work together on this. I'll go visit some clubs, you visit some clubs, and we'll compare notes, and let's just go together.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I just need a little bit of what you're getting. Nothing, nothing crazy.
Oh, yeah, 60-40. Just work on a split. I think you'd be okay.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It's got to be so surreal still. I mean, do you ever still just sit back and think, man, I'm making a living, playing ball, and not just like getting by, because I know that Sean Garrett, and he toiled away for a long time in the minors, and you're doing it, nothing away from him, but you're doing it in a totally different way. It's got to just still not feel real sometimes.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, I honestly, I said it earlier, like I never thought I would actually be in this position. Like, yeah, when you're in school, when you're growing up, like what do you want to be? It's like, oh, I want to be a professional baseball player. Like I want to play in the MLB, but like odds of it happening are so slim. And like, yeah, I tried to do everything in my power to make it. And I was very fortunate enough to like take advantage of an opportunity and run with it. And um, yeah, but no, I pinch myself every day saying like, wow, like when I'm pulling up to Yankee Stadium or walking in, I'm like, I mean, just the fact that I get to come here to work every day and walk out on the field and just step on the mound and stuff. It's pretty special.
So a lot of the old legends show up at Yankee Stadium for a lot of home games, pop in the clubhouse and.
Yeah, that was more like pre-COVID. I mean, like post-COVID,
Yeah,
it got kind of crazy. But yeah, like before that, like just talking to Mariano and like being in touch with Pettit, and then like obviously just playing with CC, like getting to know him, and Whitey Ford was around, and Ron Guidry, and like just you can go up and down the list. And Roger Clemens was there, like he was there this year, and yeah, I mean you got endless resources and people to reach out to, and it's pretty cool. I mean, when they do Old Timers Day, you're just like looking at Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer just walk through the clubhouse, and it's just like, it's pretty crazy to.
You should ask Mariano. You'd like to change your entrance music to Inner Sandman.
Yeah,
see what he
right, yeah.
thinks. You know,
I'm pretty sure that wouldn't go over too well with Yankee fans. So,
Yeah, you'd hear about it pretty quick, I have to imagine.
yeah, you get booed real quick. So yeah, that's all right.
So do you get your folks up to see you very often? Is it, how much of an ordeal is it? I imagine Howard wants to get there to see you every now and again.
Yeah, they try to make out as much as they can, and they're not too cut out for the city, so it's a big deal for them. I mean, it's just like it's hard to do. I mean, when you just fly into New York, it's just like, hey, go 100 miles an hour right away, and that's it. So yeah, they try to get out as much as they can, and especially coming to Chicago and Cleveland and some of these closer places. I know I'm missing we were supposed to go to St. Louis in 20. COVID canceled that. We're going to St. Louis this year. Get hurt, so I thought it would have been pretty special to play as a Yankee in Busch Stadium, just because I grew up going to games there. So, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen right now. So hopefully it happens here pretty soon.
And what is, so like when you are rehabbing an injury, like obviously you are where you are because you're getting treatment and you're working with people, but like are you allowed to ever be with the team, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something like you can kind of choose what you want to do. This is just the best place for us to be right now, but that's not to say like I won't go up there for a weekend here or there and just kind of hang out and check in and just be a part of the group. And
so you might show up. You might show up when they're in St. Louis.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. So
it just seems like it seems like especially this year, the way the Yankees are playing, man, you want to be around that a little bit. It's crazy. You keep waiting for them to slow down a little bit, and they just don't.
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's honestly just a special place to be right now. Like they're going all in, and you got every resource and every person to help you that they can. So it's pretty, I mean, yeah, it's a good place to be.
And I'm sure you're still pulling pretty hard for it, because listen, whether you get to participate or not, if they get a ring, you get a ring. I mean, that'd be something to hang your hat on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even though obviously I'm not being a part of it this year, just knowing that what we've gone through for the past 5-6 years, that'd be incredible. So just because I am so close with so many guys on the team, it'd be it'd be unreal. So.
Well, Mike, I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
More amped up, okay, a T-Town St. Anthony basketball game you're playing in, or a Yankee Red Sox baseball game?
I would say I get more nervous for, maybe more amped up for that, that high school game, but I'm way more nervous for a big league baseball game. It could be against whoever. It could be us versus Oakland or somebody way out west, like I get super nervous before every game. So I'm gonna go way more nervous for a baseball game. But hey, at the time I was pretty amped up for those games.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Week just different.
What's that?
It was Red Sox week just different when you guys are playing that 3 or 4 game homestand, or you're back and forth.
Yeah, no doubt. Like it's like there's just a different energy at the ballpark. It's more like a playoff game where you just have that like automatic like buzz when you walk into the field. Like the stands are packed from pitch one to the last pitch. So yeah, it's different. It's like that's why the games take 4 hours against the Red Sox, because every pitch is very important. So yeah, it's definitely different.
I mean, not just the atmosphere in New York, but I mean, you go to Boston as a Yankee. I have to imagine that's about as hostile as it gets.
Yeah, that place is incredible to play. Like those fans are. I mean, obviously, every time we played there, it's sold out, so it's incredible, and it's loud. They're engaged every pitch, so it's like, and when they get the ball rolling there and they start putting some runs on the board, it's a tough place to pitch.
I got to think those Red Sox fans around the bullpen are pretty polite.
Oh, great people. You know, like it's great people. So, well, luckily, like where we sit, it's covered. So, like, unless you're like warming up, they're really not on you. But like once you start warming up, they're literally a foot behind you. So they're just letting you have it. So it's all right.
So you're telling me it's a little different. I mean, a little different atmosphere even than like a City Series game. Then probably
those are very similar. Like obviously we don't play them as much, but like very similar.
Well, Chad, I don't know. We promised you we wouldn't keep you much more than a half hour, and we're already up at like close to an hour. But man, we really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's not a perspective that we get to have too often.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball player. I got to tell you one other thing. You know, I won't ever do it again if you tell me to stop right now. But one thing that I name drop you a little bit sometimes because I tell people, I say, Chad Green, New York Yankees pitcher, he was at my wedding. And now he probably doesn't remember it too much, but your sister, Lindsay, was in my wife's wedding party. And so I asked Danielle, I was like, was Chad there? I just want to make sure he was there. And she says, yeah,
of course.
I'd be honest with you, the day's a little fuzzy for me for reasons we don't really need to get into, but
yeah, right.
He was only there for the chicken dance. That's the only reason he went.
That's right. I did that and I was out, you know.
but yeah, I do. I'll cut it out if you want, but that's about when
you're good.
When you come from as humble a place as I do, those are the kind of things you have to latch on to a little bit. So
no, just run with it. You're good.
Well, Mike and I appreciate you taking the time. Wish you luck with the rest of your rehab. I hope it goes really well. I hope, I know that off seasons and the uncertainty we talked about, there's going to be some times that aren't a lot of fun, but I hope it goes as smooth as it can for you. And I just
thank you.
Next year.
Yes. Like I said, about an hour and a half west of here would be a great landing spot. And,
sure. Yeah.
My dad would be very.
Yeah, we'll keep it in mind.
Larry Wilson would be very excited if that happened. I'll just tell you.
I think that'd be a pretty big deal. Yeah, listen, I got my own rooting interests and they don't involve the Cardinals, but that would still be a pretty cool thing to happen. So
Charlie Schwarman's the only person who wouldn't like it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. So yeah.
All right.
Chad, hey, thank you and good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So
all right. Well,
thanks for having me.
We appreciate you coming on, Chad. We'll give Chad a chance to log off, and Mike, you and I will talk for a few more minutes, I guess. We don't really have a big plan here, but I figure we could kind of at least keep people posted on what we're thinking about for the rest of the summer and then going into the school year.
Well, we're trying to get another show booked here soon, so I'm working on it. And it's a timely guest if we can get it. So,
hey, Chad, if you want to bail out on this, go.
All right, sounds good. You guys have a good one.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah.
Man, that's
so working on a British Open record holder.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about this one a little bit.
I can pull this one off. I'll be happy that we're making progress.
That's good.
He was in Effingham County this weekend, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I guess you should have just gone and begged in person,
No, I'm not that guy. I haven't even talked to him. In a few years. I've been dealing with his dad, so I know it's Jordan Eberge, and he is playing in a qualifier today for a Corn Ferry event. And I think it's the tournament up in Springfield this week, and he's down in the metro area. Actually played today in a qualifier. So
we need to get him on here as soon as possible because
I know British Opens this week.
Well, forget that. My class reunion is on the 30th, and there's talk of a golf outing, and I haven't played in years. So I need some tips. You can help me. Well, I just need to probably go to the range a couple times and make sure there's one club that I can hit straight. And as long as I can do that, then I won't embarrass myself.
Might be your putter, but that's okay.
Well, I always had pretty good luck with the 5-iron. There were rounds where I would, back when in high school, I actually liked to play a lot, but sometimes the driver would get put away by the turn, and I just hit 5-irons off the tee and have about as good a score. So
can't score very well from the woods. That's what I tell my golf kids.
What's that?
I tell my golf kids, you can't really score from the woods. So
yeah, no, it's I always found that I did okay as long as I kept it straight. There's these courses around here typically don't really reward you that much if you're bombing it off the tee box anyway. So,
and that was Chad as usual, like with Winkler and Schaus, almost an hour, and we could have talked for another hour.
Oh man, these baseball guys, no offense to people who love any other sport, but I know we've done most of our success with talking about basketball, but man, I could pick a baseball player's brain all day long and then wake up the next morning and start again. And it's
and like I said,
such a treat to talk to him.
Chad he don't have to come on, he's rehabbing, who's these clowns calling, but worked out well and he did a good job. And,
and Chad, a lot of fun watching him play in high school. I say the same thing about Danny. I don't know that I looked at either guy and said, there's a guy who's going to be a big leaguer someday. I guess it's just sort of tough to get in your brain in this area. It just doesn't happen that much.
Well, you got to get breaks now and then. And he ended up with the right organization and he developed at the right time. And that's all, had he been in the Tiger organization, he may have never got to the big leagues.
Yeah. And that's nothing against the Tigers. It's just,
what happens
in front of you and who gets promoted and what the timeline is.
Yeah.
But and you mentioned Chase in passing at one point during the show, but
this was a excellent ball player.
Chad's twin brother, Chase, built completely differently, by the way, a lot shorter of stature, but man, you talk about good high school baseball players. For me, in the time that I have been paying attention, since I was in high school and then working at the Daily News and radio station, all that, Chase is probably, for me, top 10, top 5 ball player from the area. Like,
he had as good a hands.
Oh, so smooth
as anybody I've seen
on the infield.
Yeah.
And he could hit. And I think he probably got underestimated by people who weren't familiar with him because, again, not a tall, big kid, but man, he could hit. And
had a nice career down at Edwardsville.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just a ball playing family. They took it seriously. They worked and those guys worked really hard at it too. Like,
well, it doesn't just happen. You have to put in the time and effort.
No.
And that's the great thing. And I can remember I watched him play basketball. My first year on the bench at T-Town was their senior year, and I still remember, we played them, twice that year, Charleston tournament, the regular season, and just epic games. Just good athletes, good kids.
Yeah, that was a good group. Cody McCollum playing in that group too. Man, what an Effingham team that was.
Cody could shoot it a little bit.
Yeah,
his mom taught him how to shoot.
Yeah, it's I won't go there. I know who you're getting your digs in on here.
That's all right. Hey, and this gives us a great opportunity to beg for subscriptions because we're right on the cusp, Whitey.
Yeah,
Some of these people just subscribe. It doesn't cost you. We get to 100 now. We're almost there. Now we can kind of do our own thing with our URL. So you tell me,
make it a little easier. We can tell people,
yes.
It'll be easier to spread the word. But
Yes.
we've had a lot of fun with it. I was telling somebody the other day, like the people that we have gotten to chat with on here. It's I don't want to blow our own horn too much here, and you do most of the work as far as lining that stuff up. But it's been if you're an Effingham area sports fan,
there's so many more people we have to talk about. We haven't talked to.
Yeah.
I get all kinds of suggestions. Dad always says, "Hey, what about this person? What about?" I said, "Dad, we only have so many times." And yes, they are in the back in the Rolodex that we need to be talking to. But yeah, I mean, we've got so many great stories to be told out.
Yeah. And football's getting ready to start. So I'll have to, see if I can get a hold of Brett.
We were going to have, Bob Walls on last year football season, and he kept being gone. And, so he's automatically, I guess, back in the loop for this football season, and
why not?
I just want to hear him tell me how his junior year, his mom didn't have to wash his uniform pants all year because he never got knocked down in the game.
Sounds
that may be a rumor, but I want to hear that.
I think this year Effingham's going to have an interesting team, so it'll be, and there's, we'll see. The schedules came out, so that's something we'll have to sit down and talk about at some point.
I think the Apollo, bottom half of the Apollo is stepping up, I don't think you're going to have the incredible dominant team.
No,
but I think you're going to have a very competitive league. And I've gone out a couple times on my scooter and seen the progress of the field and the video board. The video board's like huge. And I think they're bigger than they originally were going to because, you got to be able to see things, and it's outdoors. So I think they're doing a few things a little different, a little grander scale on the video board, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've been doing the Effingham football games on the radio for a while now, and I'll tell you, there's no better facilities to call a game from already, and it's only going to get better with all those because we use that scoreboard. We look at it, and with the turf field, you're never going to have those games where it's a muddy mess and you can't tell what the down markers are or what people's jersey numbers are anymore. It's going to be fantastic.
No excuses for you and Sapper anymore. None of this. I can't tell if that's 42 or 52.
I'll tell you what. There's some smoke about me possibly doing a little bit of play-by-play just so that
there's rumor you may
just so that we're ready. Just so that we're ready in case of any scenario. And that, I don't know, that makes me a little nervous, but hey, should be
there is no truth to the rumor that I'm going to learn to do football stats because I have done that once or twice and I vowed I would never do that again because
I'd
rather write Chinese than do that.
I've got a stat sheet that's pretty foolproof. I don't know. You might want to take a look at it.
I can't, my ADHD would not allow me to do that.
It's a modified version of what they put in front of me at the Daily News, Sam Rickelman and Millie Lang used. I tweaked it a little bit, and it's pretty. I don't know. I don't want to say anybody can.
Greg still has the magic wheel, which is 50 years old.
Well, he's got.
He almost lost it. He told me the story. He almost lost it.
He almost lost it. So CJ, our videographer, made him a new one. I don't know if he's actually used it or not, but CJ made him a brand new one. So when this one finally wears out, he'll have something to follow.
That'll be like passing of the hatchet. You have to bring Larry Wilson out to put that in a box when that happened.
do a little ceremony.
Yeah, that was the wheel was actually more important than me.
You put the wheel. Here's what you do: you put the wheel on a little raft and float it down the river, and then you have somebody with a flaming arrow. Give it the funeral pyre treatment,
like a Viking funeral.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. This is getting pretty stupid, so maybe this is a good time for us to.
Getting?
But again, awesome to talk to Chad. We'll let this one get down the road a little bit, and then maybe we'll see if we can bug him again. I'd love to talk to him and Danny and Brian again. That's those big treats for us, and
Yes.
had a lot of fun with it. So we'll keep working on scheduling future guests, and when we know, you'll know. We'll
Well, I hope to have another show ready to go within a week. And then we'll probably, we may lay low for another couple of weeks, and then be ready to go again.
School will be starting soon. So, if nothing else, there'll be.
You got to get Coach Hefner to start the football season. That's on you.
I'll work on him, hopefully he'll work with me here. So, I
How
don't
many
think
episodes? We've done 40, 39.
39. This is 39.
So right now you're down 39-0 in guests. No, you're not. You're down 38-1.
I got Kim Romack.
You got Kim Romack.
I did.
So now you got a chance to get another point.
And that's worth more than 1 point, I think.
That was good. That was
That's a
good.
state tournament basketball coach right there.
That was good.
So yeah. All right. Well, I guess until then, thanks everyone for checking this out. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube.
Right. We need a couple more of you.
Do it. Yeah, tell your friends. This is a good episode too. So tell people about it. Chad had lots of great things to say, lots of fun. So all right, Mike, till next time. Take it easy.
See you, Waddy.
Later.